Hi, today we're doing a presentation on religion's influence on American attitudes towards gun control. It's a more nuanced perspective compared to my last slideshow. We're looking at all the religions today. An overview, the gun debate isn't just political, it's also a moral debate. Many Americans really rely on faith to determine their attitude towards gun control and gun use. The evangelical Protestants have the strongest religious belief on the right to own a gun in America. They rely on scriptures to really focus on this. Jesus says in Luke 22, verse 36, that God is telling you to carry a sword and sell your cloak. That's really, to them, it's saying God's telling you to have a weapon to defend yourself in times of need. They have a big emphasis on personal protection and responsibility, and it's really a big part of their identity to own a gun. They're mostly down in the South. Tennessee, Kentucky, Carolinas is mostly where they live. Next is the Catholics. Catholics have a more less gun-oriented view on having them. They are stronger for gun control. They believe that the sanctity of life and the common good. So they believe that there's really not a strong need to own a gun. They don't view it as something that God is telling them to own. Now, it's not every Catholic that's saying they should own a gun or should not own a gun. It's really just the vast majority saying that guns are not a big part of their faith, and that they do cause harm. They teach and preach the use of limited force. Also, they are generally more supportive of gun regulation, like I said, and they focus on reducing violence. Now, the mainline Protestants, they prioritize peace. They are not a violent group. They argue that the vast majority of access to guns in the United States is such a cause for violence that we have. They believe that if guns weren't around or readily available, that there wouldn't be such a high number of gun violence in the United States. They also argue that it goes against the teachings of Jesus. They believe that Jesus tells us not to harm one another and that we should not own guns, which is very different from the evangelicals who believe that Jesus is telling them to own a gun and carry it to protect their family. Now, the Jewish perspective. It's a very mixed view, the Jewish perspective, going back to oppression and them being really blanking on the word, oppression, experiences of oppression, like the Holocaust in Germany in World War II. Some believe that they should own a gun to fight back, to protect their families, but they aren't very strong on it. It's a real mix across the board for them. They believe that they should have the right to own one if needed, but also they advocate for strong gun laws. They do believe that they can have one, but they want to make sure that guns are in the right hands and that it's not readily available across the board. Now we're going to move to the Muslim perspective. Muslims really have a strong religious backing on guns. They believe in peace and self-defense under very certain circumstances. But they have also a mixed view on guns. Some believe they should have them for self-defense in their communities, to protect their families and communities against Islamophobia, while others believe that the appearance of having a gun might also spark Islamophobia. So it's also, like the Jewish community, a very mixed viewing on the right to own a gun. Now, the key difference is it's really that the evangelicals have such a strong backing in the United States for having guns and supporting them. They're more in the southern states. The mainline Protestants believe that there really isn't a need for guns, that we should be peaceful and there's no use for them. In that sense, it's such a readily available thing that it's the reason there's so much problems in our country. Now the Catholics, some believe they can have it, some believe that there's no use for them, so that's also that. Now, why this matters, understanding the religious differences can really, my laptop keeps trying to shut off, sorry. It really explains why people strongly disagree on guns. It's not just a political backing and viewing, it's a moral belief that's shaped really by faith, history, and like a big identity. Like evangelicals, they have a strong identity towards guns, and some other religions don't have that. And just recognizing that everyone's different and that they have their own faithful reasons for why they act the way they do, just gives more respect towards everyone and keeps everyone more informed around the country. So in conclusion, religious views on guns are very complex. It's not just about the right to own a gun, it's a right to defend yourself, defend your family, defend your community, but it's also a big view on responsibility. And when we take a big deep dive into why people really view guns the way they do, we can just see why there's a clearer picture on why people support the different sides of the political spectrum. So that is my presentation. Sorry if you can't see the board. I couldn't find another TV in here, so